We're now going to have our inspirational talk, which is Digitalization and Future Smart City Solutions. And I think everybody knows who Rajeev Suri is. He's the CEO of Nokia. So I have a whole sheet of his biography, but I don't think that I need to read any of it out because you all know who he is. So please, let's welcome Rajeev Suri to the stage to give his talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Katya. It is a pleasure to be here at a time when the world is moving faster and faster. Nowhere is that speed more apparent than in the world's busiest cities. I travel about 70% of my time to meet customers, our employees, governments, and ecosystem players, and mostly to major cities around the world. One thing that always strikes me, be it in Shanghai or Singapore, Mumbai or Dubai, Cape Town or Helsinki, is how much we have packed in our cities today and how intertwined each city is in the daily lives of its citizens. The size and complexity of today's mega cities are extraordinary. As people migrate into urban areas around the world, there are new challenges for governments and citizens alike, and new pressures, new drivers for cities to find new solutions, smart solutions to provide an enhanced quality of life to its residents. Population growth, aging infrastructures, environmental concerns, these are just the start of a long list of issues that cities face. Beyond that, in order to attract new businesses and affluent residents, they must have the right amenities, the right modern systems and smart solutions. Of course, all of you are well aware of these issues. After all, many of you are deep in the trenches trying to help address these issues with your customers, your residents, and others who are working to create smarter cities today. Fortunately, technology can help find the necessary solutions. We are on the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution, an era of automating everything, where we take all the work that has happened so far in connectivity, in mobility, in sensors, devices, analytics, and more, to combine it and create powerful new possibilities that we have not yet seen in our lifetime. And it will change everything, including the landscape of our cities. Imagine a world where digital transportation networks break through the limits of today's highway infrastructure. Autonomous vehicles that use hundreds of sensors and artificial intelligence to analyze and direct actions will enable the perfectly choreographed movement of traffic. Vehicles of all kinds will flow freely across ground and water and air with maximum efficiency. The impact will be massive, better quality of life, lower transportation costs, increased productivity, time saved, reduced environmental degradation. Or imagine energy grids of the future, effectively balancing the ebb and flow of the world's power, distributing a smarter combination of resources and dynamically matching energy consumption to generation without even a flicker. The result of all of that, efficiency will improve, availability, reliability, and resilience will go up, as does the critical issue of sustainability. So power and transportation are just a start. Pretty much every other area that impacts cities today will undergo deep change. And that change will be enabled by the networks of the future, with 5G and with what we call the Future X network. Because that will span from the very core of every network to the devices that you hold in your hands and that connect everything around you. So as government officials, solution providers, vendors, we must ask ourselves, what does this mean for our cities? How will we take all of the innovation, the connectivity, the Internet of Things, the next generation 5G networks to help cities and their residents live better, safer, more productive lives? And how can we do so in a way that most effectively stewards our scarce natural resources? So these are the questions that we ponder at Nokia, and we must all ponder as we consider the future of the world's smart cities. Many cities are already developing a wide range of technologies and applications to make their cities smarter, safer, and more livable. And at Nokia, we have been right there alongside quite a few of them. In fact, we have worked with more than 40 city governments and 100 public safety entities to provide smart city solutions, including the networks, cloud services, software platforms, data analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence that makes smart cities possible. Therefore, I thought what I'd do today is share some of the learnings and insights that we have gained from our work in smart cities that may help guide you in your own work. Now, specifically, I will cover 3 key areas. First, the key applications and deployment routes that we are seeing. Second, what it will take to build the smart city infrastructures of the future. And finally, I'll share some key learnings that every city should consider, both before and during their smart city transformation. As I mentioned, in the last few years, Nokia has worked with a broad range of cities around the world to help them evolve to smart cities. Cities such as Chattanooga, Tennessee in the US, Dubai, Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, Cape Town, the city of Auckland in New Zealand, Bristol in the UK, and of course, our partners here in Tampere. We also worked with Machina Research to evaluate the various factors and technology deployments of 22 smart cities around the world. And one thing that we have learned that will come as no surprise to all of you is that there's really no consensus on what defines a smart city. In fact, our research found nearly 200 variations on how municipalities define smart cities. 200. And the applications that cities seek to implement are as diverse as the definitions. There are safe city applications, which focus on preventing or minimizing crimes, accidents, environmental pollution, and natural disasters. There are sustainable city applications, and these focus on reducing the town's environmental impact, especially energy consumption and carbon emissions, but also water conservation. And there are, well, smart applications, which are the capabilities to improve quality of life, that stimulate innovation and make cities more attractive places overall to live and to do business in. A great example of this one is the connected bus shelter project that Nokia is working on, and we've done with Auckland in New Zealand. It provides a one-stop shop for people to do a range of things in a single transaction. This may include planning a trip across the city using multiple modes of transportation, purchasing the relevant transportation tickets, and then even booking courtside seats for the game that night. It also provides local information such as weather updates, as well as the possibility of a new revenue source for the city in the form of digital ads. So all in all, the possibilities for applications are as endless as our imaginations. Unfortunately, we also see how deployment of these new systems is very challenging. Everyone is inspired by the vision, by the possibilities, but they struggle with how to bring their smart cities to life. So as we have worked with city leaders and various key stakeholders, we see the deployment approaches falling into 3 primary routes. We call them the anchor route, the platform route, and the beta city route. Let's begin with the anchor route, in which the city has a master plan but adds applications in steps. Barcelona, for instance, is an example of a city that has the anchor of a strong plan but then is building out smart services sequentially. The next model is the platform route, where a city focuses on deploying the technology infrastructure first so that a number of applications can be delivered later. Think of this as the operating system for your city. Auckland, which already scores very high on multiple livability scales, is at an early stage in its smart city journey. But it has created a clear foundation of technology that can be leveraged over time. The focus here is less on a so-called master plan and more on a, if you build it, they will come premise, with it being the technology backbone, the infrastructure. Then there is the beta city route. This is where a city continues to experiment with multiple applications without a holistic plan for bringing these pilots to full deployment. Bristol is the quintessential beta city, with many projects and pilots running in parallel. This is more of a, sort of a living lab concept. And in fact, Bristol is open. Its smart city and IoT initiative is an enthusiastic participant in the European network of living labs. The focus of this model is experimentation, testing, trial and error, and constant learning. Now, regardless of the route that a city takes or the applications that it implements, there is a common and essential ingredient at the core of every smart city. After all, to be a smart city, you need what? Yes, like the scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, it needs a brain. And for smart cities, this really means a robust communication infrastructure, an infrastructure that is easily shared, scalable, and secure. So in this sense, it is both the brain and the central nervous system of the smart city, with 4 key elements. First, city-wide connectivity that delivers both fixed and mobile network access to connect all people, devices, machines, and sensors. Nothing happens without a network. It is a given that people and businesses want broadband wireless access everywhere. They want it inside and outside public places, and they want it while on the move. Connecting devices and sensors requires a mix of broadband, wireless low-power data access, and Wi-Fi to cover a wide range of needs. Second, smart cities need a city-wide network in the form of a single, converged, IP-based network. This is key to scalability and also helps to drive operational efficiency and it lowers implementation costs. This is the mission-critical network that connects the city's data centers, government offices, transit systems, libraries, and safety vehicles, to name just a few. Third, it needs a city cloud that includes a virtualized, software-defined network to flexibly connect sites, people, and applications quickly and securely. Paired with a more dynamic communications network, the cloud offers an agile and flexible framework to meet future needs. And finally, smart cities need a city Internet of Things IoT platform, so to speak, to remotely manage the millions of connected devices and sensors, and to handle the massive data flowing to and from all those devices. Smart cities of today use a range of available technologies in building out their infrastructure. Fiber networks have been a key enabler because of their speed and their massive capacity. And increasingly, city planners are using high-performance mobile broadband technologies like 4G and LTE Advanced. Yet, as we move into the fourth industrial revolution, we see powerful new possibilities for smart cities. You see, next-generation 5G networks will take us to the next levels in connectivity, speed, and capacity, and open the door to the innovations I spoke about earlier that today are only the stuff of movies and science fiction. And Nokia is one of the only vendors in the world which provides 5G-ready networking solutions today that you will not need to replace in a year or so when the new 5G standards come online. Because remember, the 5G standards are still in the making, and we're now talking about pre-commercial platforms and technologies that will evolve into the commercial technology. None of the benefits I've talked about need to be limited to the megacities. None of them. In fact, they are possible pretty much everywhere. And there are certainly smaller cities that are benefiting from what their larger counterparts are learning. Take the example of Chattanooga, Tennessee in the US. I know, the name sounds a little bit Finnish, doesn't it? Known as an elite gig city, it is on the leading edge of transformation to a smart city. And in working with the electric power grid, also known as the EPB, we helped the local government build a fiber network for its smart grid. And that in itself was quite a feat to do that, because you had to modernize the whole thing with IP MPLS networks. But let's take a look at what happened next. Let's play the video.
Our parents would go to work in a white shirt and have to take a second shirt because the smog and the dirty air was so bad.
When I was in high school, Chattanooga's downtown was a great place to take a date because you could be alone. Not that I had any dates, mind you.
In 1969, Walter Cronkite dubbed Chattanooga the dirtiest city in America.
Chattanooga, Tennessee is a really interesting place. There seems to be this drive to actually achieve what you want to go after.
One day we had internet speed like everybody else. The next day we had the fastest internet in the world.
We weren't a first mover, we were the first mover.
When the gig was announced for Chattanooga, I probably got 50, 60, 70 emails from people saying, jealous, jealous.
Now the compelling question in our city was,
What are people going to do with it? And we didn't know.
the innovation district that we created attracts people who are creative and will come here to start those next companies.
The thing that I feel like what sets it apart is this spirit that is unafraid to do amazing things. With what we're doing, being the first 3D printed house in the nation, we're really putting Chattanooga on the map in the 3D printing ecosystem.
So this is an excellent example of how smart cities transform lives. In Chattanooga, well, I guess you could say the lights literally went on with the fiber network. Ultra-powerful connectivity to every home and business, leading to triple play services with HDTV and voice over IP. A unique school came to life. And entrepreneurs and startups started seeing Chattanooga as a great location for their businesses to thrive. And the transformation has delivered significant benefits. In fact, researchers estimate that the new infrastructure in Chattanooga has produced economic benefits well beyond the Smart City project plan, more than 25% to date. And it is projected that those benefits could soar to as much as 95% above plan over time. But the real impact is in how this one city has applied technology to transform lives and reshape the fabric of an entire town. Clearly, there is tremendous work and innovation being done in the area of smart cities. And that includes work by many of you in the room today as well. It is impressive, the number of people here today and the level of innovation now happening in the arena of smart cities. In fact, I would like to thank Tekes for bringing us together today and keeping Finland at the forefront of this emerging arena. Let's give them a round of applause. Before I close, I'd like to offer 3 key takeaways for you to consider as you pursue your smart city journey, based on our work supporting dozens of cities like Chattanooga and Tampere. Number 1, data is at the heart of the smart city of the future. As data becomes the engine that fuels the solutions of the 21st century, being able to easily access, analyze, and apply data, curate data, apply data for the benefit of citizens will be critical. Undeniably, there's also skepticism about the ways that data might be used. It is critical, therefore, to have the right security and privacy controls in place to protect it. But cities should also have the right rules, policies, and governance in place to ensure that they get the most benefit from the data that runs across their networks. It is becoming quite clear that data will be the new currency of the next era. So plan for this and establish clear governance now. There are some good models to follow here. Copenhagen's City Data Exchange, as well as the One Transport initiative in the UK, both address the ways in which cities can monetize their data resources. Number two, break down the silos. What's true of companies is true of cities, is true of governments. Coordination of smart city initiatives across different departments requires forethought and leadership. This is difficult technically because neither the hardware nor the software that supports older, isolated applications were designed with such synergies in mind. And neither were most governments or large companies, as I said, for that matter. We have seen this issue tackled a few different ways. The Smart City Initiative for the city of Vienna is run by a cross-departmental team so that every team has a stake in creating the city of the future. Berlin has a separate agency that is tasked solely with coordinating smart city activities across the many different stakeholders. And New York has taken yet another approach with a small innovation department providing support to operational departments. Whatever approach you take, collaboration is key. In fact, having an ecosystem of trusted partners, technology vendors, academicians, and other stakeholders will bring expertise, innovation, and in some cases, even collaborative investment into your smart city initiatives. Finally, and this is one that is often overlooked, make the benefits visible to citizens. You cannot underestimate the importance of gaining buy-in from citizens throughout every step in your smart city journey. Keep in mind that your citizens are your customers, and they are the reason we created smart cities in the first place. Cities and vendors should also make the benefits of smart city initiatives visible with branding and marketing and communication. In its deployment, New York did a great job with this, regularly communicating through local media and other vehicles. The profound implications of the global migration into cities, the desire to improve safety and sustainability and provide smarter resources, and the powerful transformation of the fourth industrial revolution make this the right time to take a fresh look at our urban centers. And that fresh look needs to just bring in new ideas and technologies for sure, but also to put city residents at the center of everything. At Nokia, we create the technology to connect the world, and we are deeply committed to unlocking the human possibilities of our connected world. With the technology available now and the powerful innovations that will be unleashed in the future, we have a chance to fulfill the dream of creating safer, more sustainable, smarter cities, and to improve the quality of life for people all over the planet. And that is a huge opportunity. It holds huge promise. It is necessary for our shared future, and it needs all of you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. That was very inspiring. Is my mic on? No. Here we go. There we go. Apologies for that. A little technical difficulty, which is kind of ironic given the situation. So I'm going to ask a few questions of Rajeev. I understood you've got a little bit of time for us before you need to head off.
Yep.
Yeah, super. So you talked about the fourth industrial revolution changing how smart cities work, and I wondered if you could elaborate. Apologies. Did everybody hear the question, or shall I repeat it? Okay, I will repeat it. You talked about the fourth industrial revolution changing how smart cities work, and I was wondering if you could elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think first is speed. So the time taken between the first and the second industrial revolution was roughly a century, second and third a century, but the move to the fourth is taking about a generation. So speed is much faster. The second is pervasive automation and pervasive digitization, because every industry will digitalize, right? I mean, whether it's the energy networks that I talked about, or the transportation networks, or healthcare, or production networks, and whatever it is. I think in 10, 15 years' time, I don't think we'll even distinguish between technology companies and non-technology companies, because every one of those so-called brick and mortar companies will have to apply technology. So industries are digitizing, and why are they doing so? Because they can seek new levels of efficiency. So when you look at 5G, people ask me, why 5G? I say, well, it gives time back to consumers and people like us. But for industries, it gives massive step change in efficiency. And the same goes of the broader fourth industrial revolution. So I think those are at least the couple of things. And then distinct from that, you might have autonomous vehicles as part of smart cities, but then you need a traffic management system to control all of that. So there's an implication on policy. You might have energy production and consumption that's managed dynamically through ebbs and flows, as I said. But again, you need a policy. You cannot have policy like this. You'll have to have sort of horizontal policy. So I think both, policy will probably lag technology, that's clear, but it cannot lag by 5 years. So I think those are some of the implications. So I think now is exactly the right time, because you have 5G coming, you have IP coming, you have artificial intelligence coming, the value of data is increasing, so, and the whole speed of the cycle.
Excellent, thank you. And the next question, what are the pitfalls or challenges that smart city builders and ecosystem players need to keep in mind?
I think one of the pitfalls is just looking for a business benefit or return on investment in the short term. And I think we have seen many cities face challenges when it comes to looking for an ROI. Because sometimes it could be counterintuitive. Having smart parking systems could actually reduce the fees and the fines, right? So it could be counterintuitive because you're losing revenue as a city. So I think that's the pitfall. So to me, the answer is a longer-term vision and revenue, or the ROI, is a smaller part of the overall vision of the city. So I think looking longer term, looking at this as one slice of the overall vision is important. Otherwise, you'll have the pitfall on saying, I'm not going to start anything because I don't see it. And there are good examples of this. I think India is taking on the whole Smart Nation initiative pretty seriously. China, clearly, and in China, when they decide things happen fairly quickly, then I would say Dubai, right? They even have a minister of happiness there that is responsible for this. And so there are a few cities that I think are really driving it top down in a concerted attempt, looking at the ROI, but not then getting dependent on the near-term ROI. And there will be public-private partnerships, and there'll be vendor financing, but ultimately it will be central government financing that'll have to step in to see the long-term vision for the cities.
Excellent, thank you. And my next question would be, could you share a couple of ways by which companies and governments can work with Nokia in the area of smart cities?
Yes, a few ways. I think we have some Bell Labs demos here. So Nokia now owns Bell Labs. We call it Nokia Bell Labs. So, working with us on technology can happen best through working with us with Nokia Bell Labs. And there are a couple more. We have something called NG Connect. We were a founding member of this IoT community that has, governments and that has companies and so on. So joining the NG Connect is one way to get involved with the IoT community. If you're a startup, we have something called Open Innovation Challenge. We just finished it a couple of weeks ago here in Finland. We work with NG Capital, which is our own venture capital arm, which has about €1 billion in assets. So working with them in this Open Innovation Challenge allows you to be potentially a successful startup that we can even fund or work with or provide you resources and ecosystem benefits of. So at least those are, the 2 or 3 areas that I'd say is how you can work with us.
So lots of opportunities, yes. And my final question would be, what is your advice to the many upcoming technology, or I would say technology companies, present in the room today who are working on smart cities?
Yeah, this is a number of things. I think one, sort of plan longer term in mind. As I said, don't get caught up in the short term. Understand, the long-term technology. Focus on data. Data is clearly the new currency. One thing I missed to say is that we have another thing called saving lives. So we also focus on public safety and saving lives. That's another initiative because I think we use drones and many other technologies such as the digital automation platform that we've developed to help save lives. Because I think one other meaningful application of smart cities is the whole notion of public safety, right? And we know it. It's just terrorist activity and so on. So I would say, on your last question, do your planning with the end in mind. Do a quick trial prior to testing. We're talking about testing in Tampere, testing in Helsinki. Test things before you make a grand plan, and then do your research because technologies that will come in the next several years are many, and plan and scale your smart city plans accordingly with keeping in mind what technologies are yet to come. So some ideas, not exhaustive, but some ideas.
Super, thank you very much. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, it's just, it's a wonderful time to be alive. I think somebody said it on the video. Longevity will take a whole different future with life quality. But just there's a lot happening in terms of technology, and there's so much that we as humans can do. But basically, the combination of people and artificial intelligence, what we call at Nokia augmented intelligence, is probably more the future than just singularity or AI or robotics, driving humans over. So I think we believe in the combination. So there's lots happening from 4G to 5G to AI to data, and so it's just a wonderful, wonderful time to be alive and sort of make cities smarter and make the fourth industrial revolution a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and let's give a big warm round of applause for Rajeev Suri. Thank you very much. Thank you.